So let's speak about the types of practices that these secret societies and the people who practice witchcraft, dark magic, etc. practice, right? So I speak on my experience, on the things that I've experienced. And so I'll start with energy harvesting, right? So usually people who are practicing witchcraft, dark magic, who are part of a secret society, or sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't, and take it as it resonates, right? But these are the types of things they do. They would do things such as energy harvesting. And we're going to touch base on energy harvesting because that was a big one for me. So, with energy harvesting, my energy has been harvested since I was a baby, right? And so I have very little memories of my childhood. A lot of black magic was done on me as a child so that I could so that my memory will be wiped out based on the abuse that I endured. But I always kept three specific instances of when I was molested as a child and the ages that it happened, right? And so that was the only memories those are the only memories I have of my childhood, of, those incidents like that. And so for these type of people and for their entities, when people go to the extent of molesting individuals, specifically children, right, they have been overtaken by entities, and they are overtaken by demonic forces at that point. And in order for the entity that is attached to them to feed, they have to harvest the energy from the individual that they want it from. And the reason why they target children is because children are pure and they have a lot of vitality. So they'll go ahead and they'll all so children have a lot of vitality and they have youth and strength. So through the practice of harvesting the energy through those insidious ways, they're able to harvest the energy. And sometimes, in secret societies and cults and covens, what would happen is somebody would have to do the thing to the child or the person, and then they take it back to the cult or the coven, and ritualistically they share the energy amongst each other, right? Or to the leader of this specific cult, right? And so the same thing goes with the other. That was a form that I experienced. So for me, it happened like two. It was a dramatic year for me. 4, 6. From 6 to 9 was horrible, right? And then it continued to happen until the age of like 15. And then when you're involved in when you're raised from people like this, right? These people would usually have a handler for you, and they would the relationships that you get into, specifically for me because I was born gifted with spiritual gifts, right? And my light is a little bit different because I am anointed by God in type of scenario. So I was like a target. So they wanted to always keep record of who I was, like what I was doing, who I was with, and always be engaged in those relationships without me knowing that they were a part of it, right? So the people that I would have intimate relationships with, they would have to go and sleep with someone from this cult, right? To bring back the energy once I became an adult without me being aware of it, right? So I learned about this later on. So as I had my awakening this year, and then I realized the schemes that were happening around me, how my energy was being manipulated, siphon. It's like a whole bigger scheme when it comes to me. But to bring awareness of what these people do, I use my experience. I'm not going to get into the whole schemes of what's going on with me because the Most High is here. And we're going to let him, vengeance is his, says the Lord. Right? But as I've learned and I've healed, so I understood why the abuse as a child and how it had to be repeatedly and how it had to be like ritualized. So if you ever experience something like I did, you would notice that, or if you go back and look at it, you'll be able to see that it was the same type of abuse. When it came to like molestation and stuff, it was the same type of, it was like a ritual type of thing. It was like step by step type of scenario. So it would be like the same way all over again with other people. I don't know if that makes sense, but I hope it does. So that's one way that you could identify if this was your case or if it was something similar to you, because we don't see it like that. We don't see it like, oh my God, this is a ritual. They're part of a coven, a cult. They're practicing dark magic. We just think they're sick people, right? We think they're just sick. And they are. They're sick. But then there's demonically sick. So being demonically sick, well, when you get to the extent where you are harvesting energy through sexual means, you're demonically possessed. Yeah. A healthcare provider could diagnose it whichever way they want to, but the reality is that you're under demonic possession. Right? So, going back to the type of things that these secret society do, right? And then when we talk about these type of practices, then we could also think about like, where are, you know how there's so many children going missing, right? Which is unfortunate. Where are these children going? Right? So we could look at it like that. We could start opening up our minds to what's really happening around us and bring awareness to it, because as we expose it, then, and we become aware of it, then these type of entities, these powers at work, because we don't fight against flesh and blood, we fight against powers and principalities. And so when we bring awareness on it, when we speak on it, because there's power in our tongue, we dismantle it. And so that's one form of energy harvesting, right? Which is very cruel, which is also why sexual energy exchange is so important, because the most powerful form of energy exchange is the sexual energy exchange. Because we go ahead and we share our DNA. We combine souls, we intertwine souls at that time. And so it's a very vulnerable time for rituals to be performed without our knowing, because these things are done with the mind, right? And those who know and that have spiritual gifts and use it for the darkness, they're able to do these things, which is why it's so important that we in death know who we are laying down with, because our energy could be harvested not only through these demonic ways, but as we grow older and have relationships, it gets harvested in that matter as well.